upstairs, and I felt a boom and a shake and a boom, and I didn't see anything, and I went downstairs and looked to see if anything was going on downstairs, and nothing was. So I just figured it was a small earthquake.
And where were you when this happened?
Up on La Valla, Nui Street.
And what subdivision is that?
Seaview.
Calipana Seaview.
Calipana Seaview Estate.
What did you think it was?
I just figured it was another earthquake. We have earthquakes here constantly. We saw the fire truck go up, and then later and I went, oh, what's that? And then the policeman came and told us what it was. And then another policeman has come since then.
Yeah, about what time did this happen? Do you have any idea?
8:45, 8:44, something like that.
Was it when they got?
Yeah, that's what that guy said.
Oh no, but I mean, it's
actual
when the
event
police
happened.
got. Yeah.
Oh.
When the police got here, it was after 9 because you were here.
Yeah.
Sometime after 9 when.
And I'm Khaki Catlett. Big booms and shaking were felt across the Cape Fear today and have some people worried.
What shaking seems to be the question on everyone's mind today after more mysterious movements were felt this morning. WWAY's Katie Harden is here now with more. Katie.
Chris, people are booming with Big Bang theories on what they say causes the mysterious rocking and rolling along our coast.
Anything that can shake the houses, not just one or two houses, but a whole neighborhood, and it can be heard from Southport to Bolivia and Sunset Harbor, it has to be something big.
Folks across the Cape Fear say the mysterious booms are back, and this time they seem stronger than ever. People had different experiences depending on where they were at the time.
It's kind of freaky to me because I heard it, but I didn't see anything.
I didn't hear the boom, but then we had shaking twice.
Everyone we talked to said this was not the first time they've experienced the unknown sound and shaking. Some folks even say they hear the booms every week. One thing's for sure, regardless of what the noise is, people say they just want answers. Seismologists say nothing registered on the Richter scale Tuesday in our area, and the military says they're not responsible for the sounds or shaking. Although scientists and authorities can't seem to pinpoint where the noise is coming from, residents say they have their own theories.
I know that there's an explanation, and it has to be military.
The ocean. Something with the ocean.
I think they're earthquakes, tremors.
Now, some people we've talked to tonight said they're very concerned with the booms now that we're nearing the end of the Mayan calendar, which some people believe marks the end of the world. They say the confusion surrounding the booms only builds up their theory that we're nearing the ends of days.
Finally tonight, a story about a nice place they're calling a boom town jokingly. The problem is it's not funny. The good people in one town in Wisconsin would right now give anything to find out what's making that noise. Their story tonight from NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
In what used to be sleepy Clintonville, Wisconsin, something's going boom in the night.
It was almost like someone took a wrecking ball to the side of the house.
Problem is, no one in this town of 4,600 west of Green Bay seems to know what it is.
I thought a car was coming through my house. It was that loud.
For 3 nights running, residents have been shaken and awakened. All these dots represent 365 residents reporting booms.
There's like some noises after. I don't know what the hell it is.
There's some weird banging going on, and our whole house is shaking.
While it's a serious situation, I think that, in fairness to our citizens, people are trying to have a little bit of fun with it.
And the Twitter sphere reverberated. What are the booms in Clintonville, Wisconsin? I had no idea they were filming the Tremors remake in Clintonville, Wisconsin.
Bert, they're under the ground!
This may sound familiar. In the 1990 sci-fi spoof Tremors, underground aliens shake up a small town in Nevada, 2,000 miles from Clintonville, Wisconsin.
No Richter scale can measure it. No scientist can explain it.
Scientists do seem to know what it isn't. It's not an earthquake or underground explosion or exploding gas or electrical problem or even burping sewer system. and not a frost quake caused by unseasonably warm temperatures. So far, experts are stumped as to what it is.
Their whole lives are being disrupted by this, and we don't have a good answer for them.
So tonight the mystery continues as to why Clintonville has become Boomtown, USA. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Chicago.
Did you feel it? There was a mysterious boom felt around the county this morning, shaking windows, and of course, it has a lot of people talking. It happened before 8:30, and it didn't take long for the comments to start filling up our NBC San Diego Facebook page. Of course, people were asking if there was an earthquake and leaving comments about what they felt and heard. So now the big question is, what was it? San Diego State Professor Emeritus Pat Abbott is here to try to explain. Now, you and I were just talking. You said you felt it this
most
morning.
Definitely, yes.
What was your first reaction as to what it may be?
Well, my first reaction is I looked to the ground. I looked at the chandelier in the house to see if it's the ground that's moving, and no action there. Something happened in the atmosphere. Then I go outside in case I can see something. I can't. But then it was so widespread throughout. Something happened in the atmosphere that was, distributed widely.
So how does that make what people felt, like the shaking and the rattling with the windows?
Well, it's that boom, when an earthquake will do that too. It'll make your house and shake and your windows shake and all of that, but it makes everything shake, whereas something in the atmosphere doesn't affect the ground or the other parts. So this is the kind of a thing, maybe this weather system coming, maybe putting a little bit of a lid to help something noise hit it and reflect down. Most likely it's a squad of planes flying by, and there was that collective sonic boom, channeled to us. We get one of these kinds of big, widespread, mysterious booms maybe once a year or so, and that's something happened in the atmosphere. The most liable thing, likely, is a fleet of planes.
A fleet of planes. Now, can you tell me how would this have been different if it were an earthquake? I haven't experienced an earthquake, but I'm sure most people here know the difference.
Well, we'll arrange one for you here pretty soon here. But with earthquakes, you can hear earthquakes if you are near the epicenter. For people who have been in San Diego a long time, like say the mid-1980s, they'll remember the faults going across Coronado and Silver Strand moved in some magnitude 4 earthquakes. And the P waves, they move like this, like slinky toys. They're sound waves. So for those, when you're right on the epicenter, those P waves will come out of the ground and you literally get to hear the earthquake if you're right over the epicenter. But we didn't have an earthquake underneath San Diego this morning, right. So that wasn't the cause.
All right. Well, thank you so much for filling us in on what it may be. We appreciate you being here. And now we're going to turn things over to Jody. And Jody, you kind of have, I guess, the same suspicions of what this may have been, too, when it came to the military planes and stuff, right?
Absolutely. Well, he brought up, could be a flight pattern. Let's talk about real quick what it wasn't, okay? When we heard of the boom, instantly I thought thunder and lightning are in our forecast, but I didn't expect there to be any so soon if it was. So what I did was I rewound my radar to before 9 o'clock when we started hearing reports of this sound, and the nearest rain was well offshore. In fact, I put the measurement on it, and it was 26 miles offshore. There was no thunder or lightning associated with this, and even if there had been, the sound waves and the feel would not have made it to us. It only travels about 10 miles. So we know it wasn't thunder and lightning. But as Professor Abbott brought up, could it have been a flight pattern? Well, let's talk about military chaff. You may or may not have heard of this. Now, chaff is something that the aircraft are equipped with. It's a spray that they put out in the atmosphere to confuse ground radars. It's a protection against, say, the radar-guided missiles, okay? So when they're flying these test patterns, they'll chaff the sky, and it shows up on radars. Now, I was looking at my radar and wondering, could it have been a flight pattern? Well, here's what happened. I called the National Weather Service, and something interesting here. They confirmed that this right here, this and this are not rain. That was not rain on our radar. So this is not rain. What is it? Could it have been chaff? Well, we may never know. But as a meteorologist, I know that bugs and birds can also cause it. I don't think that was it because it's sort of in a straight line. So that leads me to believe that it could have been a flight pattern. Like I said, we may never know. And I don't know.
Boy, a whole lot of shaking going on today in Tucson during a roaring practice for this weekend's air show at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. The latest on this, home and business owners all over Tucson dealing tonight with property damage, mostly broken glass, the result of a sonic boom around 2:30 this afternoon. Tucson's 911 call center fielded about 90 calls from people wondering what the heck happened. News 4 Tucson's Sam Solzuelo's been following this all day and has more of the details for you, Sam.
Well, businesses and homes look like this all over Tucson tonight. I'm told this window actually had to be boarded up because it's too big to be replaced immediately, and it'll cost about $1,200. DM officials have not guaranteed they'll be taking full responsibility for this, but it looks like they might. Windows in this strip mall were blasted all over the ground after a sonic boom.
It sounded much like an earthquake. Everything shook all at once, unlike anything I've ever experienced living in Tucson my whole life.
Several businesses in this strip mall alone called 911 after the plane flew over.
People are all looking up in the sky like someone had just bombed us. I honestly had no idea what it could have been at all.
Air Force officials say a jet was practicing for this weekend's air show. It broke the sound barrier, which is rare in overpopulated areas. It's restricted.
It's going to be a cleanup.
Greta Crookston was scared to even look for what happened.
It sounded like a bomb had been set off, is what it sounded like. It was a very loud and deep noise. It was a kaboom.
She has a mess, but no hard feelings.
I feel happy to know that I am close to an Air Force base so that if anything did happen, we have the ability to defend ourselves.
Tucson police asked people to call the base's legal department. A few hours later, airmen were checking out damage. They were not authorized to talk to media, but they gave businesses these forms. Melissa Watkins said she was asked to send her claim for damage to the 355th Fighter Wing. She'll know more on Monday.
I imagine it was an accident, simple mistake. I'm sure they will handle it well.
And if you would like to file a claim, DM did provide a couple of phone numbers to us for their claims office and their public affairs office. I'll have those numbers posted with this story on KVOA.com later on this evening. Sam Salzwedel, News 4 Tucson.
All right, Sam, thanks. Good.
Well, there's nothing to suggest that fracking is the cause of a series of quakes that has jolted a small corner of New Brunswick. The tremors have been happening in the village of Macadam for several weeks now. They haven't caused any major damage, but they've left many residents rattled and wondering if they're safe. Catherine Harrop has the details.
In David Blair's basement, delicate instruments wait.
Okay, this is a seismograph equipment here, which detects the earthquakes, and then it's recorded in a box in here, and it's then sent by the internet to Ottawa.
3 seismic recording stations have been set up in the town to record any shake or shudder. And Macadam has had a swarm, at least 20 bumps, in the past 2 months.
Scared, big time.
Bang, and I'm telling you, the whole room shook and the floor. Couldn't believe it.
And I sat right up in bed, and there was a flash of light came right in on my bed. And, you know, just sort of like lightning.
And the earthquake releases energy, and that's part of the energy that gets converted into light.
Over 100 Macadam residents showed up to ask questions and hear from 2 experts about the findings so far. Seismologist Ken Burke.
What we found is the swarm appears to be concentrated directly under the village here, particularly in the north end of the village. And the other important thing is the earthquakes are very shallow, less than 1 kilometer in depth. That means they're close to the surface.
The depth of the micro-earthquakes is less than 1 kilometer. So many so close to the surface means they probably aren't from a major fault. The bad news is that they're happening so close to town, residents are even hearing very minor quakes.
It's frightening when you hear them in the middle of the night and that.
And there's no reassurance that they're going to stop. So is Macadam a safe place to live? Professor Carl Butler.
Probabilities of a big problem are extremely low, we would say, but we can never, with earthquakes, you can never say never.
Scientists will continue to measure any tremors. They want to add a 4th monitoring station, hoping more data will start to show a pattern, which will give them a better idea of the cause.
I've learned a lot from it, but it's still very scary.
You know, I think we're getting used to it anyway.
Catherine Harrop, CBC News, Macadam.
What do you think? What's happened in your home? Did anything happen? Or?
No, I just heard a loud banging, and I was thinking that maybe somebody ran into my porch or something and hit it. Yeah. But
did anything fall off your walls? Or
no, I never had anything like that.
So have you felt these before? I know this is an area where you can get these minor tremors.
No, I can't say that I felt them like before in the past. They may have been there, but I wasn't aware of them.
So does it make you a little nervous?
No, not really. Not really.
So you heard the sound?
Yeah, like a big, like it was an explosion. I thought when my furnace blew up, the first one I heard. But I didn't feel any shakes. I felt vibration.
Yeah.
But it's pretty
Did you feel last night? Because it was about a 2.4.
Yes, there were two of them.
There were two of them?
Two of them. I was guessing around 6 or 7 o'clock.
So did you know what it was when it happened?
Yes, I was familiar with the noise previous, so I wasn't as nervous.
So have you lived here most of your life? Are these common?
All my life. No, these aren't common. There was probably an earthquake back in the 80s, I remember, and it was like a thunder coming in the distance. It came up and got really loud and then shook and went away. These are just like big bangs.
Just boom and...
Just, yeah, exactly.
Did anything happen to your home? Were there any pictures?
Well, the next morning after our Friday night episode, I noticed my clock was down on the floor, but I mean, I just put it up recently, so it could have been my doings.
I live in a house down there, a 2-story house. Yeah. Yeah, and it'll lift you. It'll wake you right up in the middle of the night. Last night was the worst one at 7:30 last night.
That's what everyone is saying.
It shakes your house. I thought my furnace exploded. That's what it was. That's what I thought it was. First time.
Okay, and did any damage to your home?
No. Thank God for that. No, but I mean, we don't know. We don't know what it was, right? You know, I thought it was the trains. You know, when the trains over here, sometimes they jam up together there. When they put them together, they make a lot of noise, eh?
Oh,
so that's what I thought it was. But then we don't watch TV, so we just found out through the internet. That's all of it.
I went down to investigate in the basement to check see if anything happened. I jumped off my couch there last night at 7:30 when that big bang, and it was big.
Okay, tell me, this is what everybody's saying. I'm concerned about the Big Bang. Or not concerned, but people are saying it was like a train going through. Was it something like that?
No, the trains here, when they're banging together on boxcars, it is a total different sound. You know the sound. We know the sound. This is a railway town, used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know what it sounds like. And last night it was just one great big boom, and you could feel the vibration in your house. It felt like it was right underneath my house. Yeah. But I called other people, they said the same thing. It was like right underneath their houses.
It just feels like it's coming right up off the ground, out of the ground is what I did. But these bangs are just as if something blew up, like dynamite, or just as if something blew up. As he said, we're used to trains. When they connect, you hear a bang. But no, that's nothing like that. It's just as if something blew up like dynamite or something exploded.
Let's hope not, huh? What was that in the sky over California and Nevada? A blast of light, followed by a boom that literally knocked some people off their feet. Folks treated to a rare daytime light show as what's believed to be a fiery meteor rattles homes and leaves the local 911 call centers flooded with frantic phone calls. Corey Powell, editor-in-chief of Discover Magazine, is here to explain. Good morning to you. I want to put the picture back on screen.
Spectacular.
What are we seeing?
So what you're seeing probably is a chunk of rock, actually only probably about 3 feet across, but this thing hit the air going about 20,000 miles an hour. It's so hot that it actually turns the air white hot. And what you're actually seeing is the fireball is the air. It's like air on fire around the rock itself.
So it's a meteor, you believe?
So it's almost certainly a meteor. And these things happen not that infrequently, but this one is larger than most, and it happened to pass right over California and Nevada, where a lot of people were there to see it.
A lot of people saw it. You say there's a bigger lesson in this?
Well, yeah. So every time one of these things happens, it's a reminder that space is not an empty place. It's full of all kinds of leftovers from when the Earth and the other planets formed. They're still flying around. They still come down. This one happened to be completely harmless. But if you imagine one that was maybe about 10 times the size, and there are quite a few of those, that could hit the ground. That would actually be big enough that it could like flatten the downtown of a city.
Well, some experts are saying, though, this happens all the time.
Right. One's this size.
But it usually happens in daylight, so we would not see it. Do you agree with that?
Right. Well, think about it. You know, most of the Earth is covered with water, so a lot of them happen over the ocean, a lot of them happen during the day, a lot of them happen over unpopulated areas. This one happened to be pretty big, passed over a lot of people, and it got deep enough into the atmosphere because it was big. It got deep in the atmosphere, made a sonic boom. That's why it was rattling windows and all of that.
That's the question, too, because if it usually does not make a sound, you don't see it.
Right.
What would explain the explosion in this case?
Probably not a UFO. Probably just Probably just an unusually big one. So this is, it's not quite large enough to be dangerous, but it probably did shower down some rocks, and people are going down to the Sierra Nevadas to look around for pieces of it.
So the folks out in Nevada and California, there's your answer.
Go prospecting.
I'm satisfied. I hope you are.
4.5 billion-year-old rock left over from formation of the Earth. Might be sitting right there. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you, Corey.
Baseless.
See you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Another shaking surprise for the Piney Woods. For the second time in just a week and just the fourth time since 1981, an earthquake rocked East Texas. Early this morning around 3 o'clock, a 4.3 magnitude earthquake hit about 4 miles east of Timpson in Shelby County.
That's only about 6 miles from where another moderate trembler was reported last week.
Homeowners across Timpson had all sorts of damage.
Suddenly there was this loud boom as if something had exploded.
The Brandon family got woken up with bricks from their chimney landing on the roof and picture frames falling from the walls.
Glass fell in the bed and broke and fell on the floor and broke. All over the house, really. There was broken glass.
You can see the effects of the 4.3 magnitude earthquake from Dollar General surveillance video. Timpson residents just hope they don't have to see it again.
So scared. If it happened again, I hope I got a man wrapped around my neck.
In northern Nacogdoches County, Leslie's photo gallery is out of kilter.
The whole floor was rumbling and shaking, and you could actually hear a rumbling. It was almost like a train, going by.
The quake cracked Leslie's patio and opened her kitchen drawers.
So when I came around the corner, I nearly tore my leg off.
2 earthquakes in less than a week. Experts warn there could be more.
And tonight, geologists are still searching for answers about what triggered 2 earthquakes in a week. East Texas News 9's Alexis Spears finds out why one SFA professor says these tremors could actually prevent a catastrophe.
SFA geology professor Dr. Wesley Brown searches for answers, hoping to get to the bottom of the recent earthquake activity in East Texas.
In the end, we might not be able to 100% say what is causing it, but we'll be able to eliminate certain causes and so forth.
Brown speculates last week's earthquake may have actually been a precursor to this week's.
Define this one as the earthquake event, and maybe last week would be a foreshock.
Although there have been 2 earthquakes relatively close to one another in less than a week's time, Dr. Brown says the occurrences may actually be a good thing.
Small earthquakes can be a blessing in disguise.
Brown says these earthquakes felt in cities like Nacogdoches and across much of East Texas are considered to be relatively mild. This activity, he says, could be the Earth's way of slowly shifting over time instead of shifting all at once and causing a larger scale catastrophe.
That way, you really don't have to worry about a big earthquake because you know the Earth is venting.
However, Brown says he's looking at all possible causes, including the influence of human hands.
It could be man-made and it could be tectonic.
Brown says these small earthquakes are suspicious, and the possible rise in the practice of injecting liquid waste into the Earth's surface may be causing the plates to shift, or it may just be a natural occurrence.
If you go back historically, they've been in the range of 3.0 to 4.0 in terms of the highest magnitude.
A report being conducted on East Texas hopes to pinpoint the causes of these earthquakes in the coming months. In Nacogdoches, Alexis Spears, KTRE, East Texas News 9.
Dr. Brown says continued earthquake activity is always a possibility. He also says that earthquake analysis should be released by September. That report, he hopes, will provide many.
A loud boom and violent shaking. People around the area are reporting hearing and feeling some strange things last night and this morning. We've been receiving emails and Facebook messages from people in both Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties wanting to know what caused it. News Channel 3's Ryan Duffy went to find out what it was. He's live now with more. Ryan.
Aaron, just about everyone talking about this on Facebook or people we talked to directly say pretty much the same thing. They heard a loud explosion like thunder, but the skies were clear and then the ground shook. The sound was so loud, John Newenhouse was sure something blew up in his home.
It was like an explosion, and there was no doubt in my mind something blew up in the basement. I mean, the house just violently shook, so I quick ran downstairs, and there was nothing going on down there.
So he ran outside and saw this. 2 large trees in front of his house snapped in half and laying across his driveway.
So I ran on the other side of the trees, really expecting to see an airplane or something laying there, and there's absolutely nothing over there.
He called the Ostramo Fire Department, but they didn't find anything either that might have crashed out of the sky. John's neighbor also told us her house shook at around 8:30 this morning. And although he's the only case of actual damage, last night there were other explosions reported in Calhoun County. Centered around the Union City and Burlington areas, dozens of people there posted on Facebook that they heard a boom and their houses shook at around 10:30 last night. There were no earthquakes recorded anywhere in the Midwest region last night, and air traffic control in Kalamazoo says there were no planes flying that might have broken the sound barrier.
So, yeah, it was quite surprising and a little scary.
And we are continuing to look into this. The Calhoun County Emergency Management Department says it has received these reports but doesn't have any explanation. One of its theories was it could be powerful fireworks, but this being heard in such a large area, that probably is unlikely. Reporting live, Ryan Duffy.
It starts with a loud boom and ends with violent shaking. That's what some people along Route 12 in northern Jefferson County say is happening almost daily.
They want answers, so we sent 7 News reporter Matt McCluskey to Alexandria Bay to try and solve this Big Bang mystery.
This stretch of Route 12 in the town of Alexandria looks normal right now, but residents say lately that hasn't been the case.
Boom, crack. And we wonder, what is this?
It's like a mini shotgun blast or something. It's very quick, but instead of being in the air around you, it's coming from the ground underneath you.
Dave Roberts owns the Aqua Zoo. He has heard the blasts and felt the shaking for the last 2 weeks.
Did you hear that one? Did you hear the one last night at 2:30? Did you feel the one at 4 o'clock?
But here's the thing. Seismology reports do not show any activity in the area over the last week, and officials with Fort Drum say they aren't responsible for the shaking either.
Everybody has the same, concern. They just want to know, what exactly is happening.
And while they haven't been able to find concrete answers, some residents do have their own theories. That salt used by the Department of Transportation over the years has seeped into the ground, causing rocks to shift and move.
Could that salt now be crusting, and as it crusts, it swells and could possibly be lifting enormous rocks?
Calls to the DOT haven't been returned, meaning the search for the source of the shaking will continue. In Alexandria, Matt McCluskey, 7 News.
Did you feel it? For the second time this year, San Diegans were startled by an unusual jolt, rattling windows, doors, and some nerves. Thousands felt it. Hundreds of reports poured into the Southern California U.S. Geological Survey website. They came from most of San Diego County. A few were as far north as Malibu in L.A. County. San Diego 6's Derek Stahl has been digging into the mystery for us all day, and he joins us live. And Derek, you were able to find the answer to what has become this somewhat familiar phenomenon.
That's right. There was a similar event back on April 13th. Loud sound, lots of shaken windows. The source of that event hasn't been confirmed, but you can chalk up today's episode to a sonic boom. It happened right around 12:45 p.m. A surveillance camera outside the Galactic Comics store in Ocean Beach captured the impact.
Basically, our store shook, windows got sucked in and out, and it was kind of an interesting yet a little bit scary experience.
The afternoon crew here at San Diego 6 had a similar experience. They said the windows in our Kearny Mesa newsroom rattled quite a bit, and it didn't stop there. People as far inland as Valley Center and Hamul felt the jolt, plus all along the coast.
It just startled me for a minute, and it stopped me in my path.
I have no idea what it was. It was really just kind of unusual.
Theories about the cause started swirling. Both the Navy and the Marines said it wasn't them. One website claimed it was an earthquake, something shot down right away by the U.S. Geological Survey.
No earthquake on the records. Lots of people feeling or hearing something over a very wide area. That usually means it's some kind of airwave source.
And the most common airwave source, according to geophysicist Bruce Presgrave, is a jet breaking the sound barrier. Turns out he was right. Shortly before 6, a spokesperson for the Navy called us back saying 2 FA-18s from the USS Carl Vinson had gone supersonic during a flight demonstration right around 12:45. Planes have to travel more than 760 miles an hour to create a sonic boom, but when it happens, the air around the plane gets squashed and then quickly released, creating shock waves that spread out as they approach the ground. Now, a Navy spokesperson says the planes were flying near the Carl Vinson, about 35 miles offshore. One scientist I spoke with said you can hear a sonic boom more than 50 miles offshore if the wind is just right. Live from the Embarcadero, Derek Stahl, San Diego 6 News.
Dad, did you feel that one? Dad, did you feel that one?
They can feel it and sure can hear it. A strange boom reverberating through the foothills. It's happening over and over again in Pleasant Valley, southeast of Placerville in El Dorado County. That's where Angeli Hemphill tried to unravel this mystery.
Well, people that live all over this area say they hear these loud booms several times a week, but everyone seems to have a different theory about what's causing these booms and even what direction they're coming from.
Sure, I thought it was thunder. Definitely it's not thunder, it's too consistent.
Sonic booms from flying aircraft.
People who live near Pleasant Valley say their days have been interrupted by loud booms shaking the floor beneath them, and it's been happening for years.
Or you can feel it in the ground, no question about it.
But no one's been able to figure out why.
I tend to hear somewhere between 4 to 6 of these things during a weekday, and they usually run between 11 and 2. Just boom, 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 boom.
And the rolling foothills of El Dorado County make it difficult for them to even tell where it's coming from. Unfortunately, these horses who spend most of their day outside couldn't tell us much, but we did ask the owner of Sierra Rock Diamond Quarry what he knew about it. He says they haven't blasted since last year, and any miners or quarry owners would need government permission before they can set off any explosives.
And it's a federally mandated rule system and enforced.
Some think the booms are from nearby wineries using propane cannons to scare away birds.
We've never done it, and I don't know of any other winery that does.
And according to USGS, there aren't enough seismic stations in the area to pinpoint the exact location. Meanwhile, some say the booms have been around so long and happen so often, they barely notice them anymore. But others want this mystery solved.
I would like to know what it is, yeah. And I'd like to know when it's going to stop, too.
And we also spoke to Fallon Naval Air Station in Nevada, which says any supersonic flight operations they do are only allowed over Dixie Valley, which is hundreds of miles away.
Interesting. There's some thought illegal mining could be at the source of the booms. The quarry owner doesn't buy it, though. He says for as long as this has been happening, they would have been caught by now.
Right now at 4, a mystery boom in an Ocean County community. Residents say it sounds and feels like an explosion, and it's not the first time they've felt it. And authorities, they don't know what it is. Good afternoon, I'm Tracy Davidson.
And I'm Renee Chenault-Fatah. The latest mysterious booming sound happened last night in Manchester Township, which is near Toms River. Residents say it was so powerful it shook windows there in some homes. This is a story you'll see only on NBC 10. Jersey Shore Bureau reporter Ted Greenberg is live in Manchester Township, where even police are mystified. Tell us more, Ted.
Yeah, Renee and Tracy, police are trying to get to the bottom of this, but so far they don't have any answers. Folks who live here say their houses are being rattled, and so are their nerves.
It was like, boom.
John Watt says he can sleep through thunder, but this sound jolted him out of bed.
Just heard this loud bang. I actually thought my car hit something.
On block after block in the Pine Lake Park section of Manchester Township, Ocean County, people say they heard and felt what seemed like an explosion around 10 Thursday night.
It was so loud that my windows were rattling. I really thought the house next door blew up. That's how bad it was. It scares the hell out of us when we're sitting here watching TV and boom.
And it's happened before. Residents tell us mysterious booms have rocked the neighborhood several times in the past few months. As far as we know, there hasn't been any damage and no one's gotten hurt, but folks here are definitely on edge.
I'm starting to get creeped out now. We've heard that somebody's been setting off bombs or explosions or something of that nature.
Police say they have an ongoing investigation, but have yet to determine where the sounds are coming from or who's responsible.
I really wish they would knock it off so that we can stop jumping out of our skin.
Now, the Lakehurst military base is nearby, but police don't think the booms are coming from there, and military officials confirmed to us today that there were no explosions on the base last night. Live in Manchester Township, I'm Ted Greenberg, NBC 10 News.
Breaking news this morning after a loud noise was heard across northwest Louisiana late last night. We're getting reports that a possible meteorite may have hit the ground.
Trying to get a handle on this. What in the heck's happening over there in Webster Parish? Sheriff Gary Sexton tells us the exact location not known, but something happened between Minden and Dixie Inn. Fire, ground shaking, you name it, it happened. Tons of Facebook posts rolling in. KSLA News 12's Emily Black with the latest via Skype for us this morning as the officials continue to figure out what in the world happened overnight out there. Emily?
That's right, Doug. We've had thousands of reports of an explosion that shook the ground miles from Webster Parish all the way to East Texas at about 11:30 Monday night. We talked to Gary Sexton, the sheriff here, who says that, quote, definitely had something happen. Sexton confirmed that all the explosion manufacturing facilities and natural gas facilities in Webster Parish are ruled out as a cause. Sheriff Sexton says it is possible a meteorite hit the ground, and we have confirmed with NASA that there is a meteor shower happening above us right now. We haven't pinpointed a location for the possible hit, but Sexton believes, as you said, that it happened between Minden and Dixie Inn, and there's reports of flashing lights and sparks in the sky right when the boom happened. We talked to a man who worked inside the convenience store we're outside of right now, who says the walls started shaking, tiles fell out of the ceiling whenever the boom hit. That sounded like something just ran into the side of the building. And as soon as the sun comes up, they're going to send out a helicopter to try and find where that hit. Reporting live in Dixie Inn, Emily Black, KSLA News 12.
All right, Emily, I appreciate it. And, you know, as long as we don't see fire right now, you got to think we're okay. There's nothing on fire, nothing's burning. There's no immediate emergency that they're having to deal with. It's just a big mystery, like trying to figure out what the heck happened.
Well, let me refute the meteor theory.
Okay.
Checking with the National Weather Service, if it were a meteor, and yes, we're in a meteor shower period, the Orionids, but I don't think there would be a piece of that would make it to the Earth without vaporizing.
Yeah.
But if it did, radar did not pick up a streak, which it normally would. But we had an eyewitness report who left her home in Dixie Inn to drive to try to find whatever it was that hit, and she reported ashes falling onto her car, but they were heavy enough that they sounded like small hail. The Weather Service did confirm right after that explosion, their radar picked up what would be called a low cloud or a debris field.
As if something
ashes
blew up.
falling, that it blew up and stuff was coming down enough that their radar picked it up for 4 revolutions as it drifted northwest and was settling, and after 4 revolutions. And I wanted to ask Emily if she could, if she's in Dixie Inn.
I think she's right at that main interchange with the gas stations. And
if she could see if she could kick up anything in the way of dust or ashes out there.
Well, you know, I think they were saying they ruled out any kind of well-type explosions, but
I wouldn't
be
be so
anything from a
quick to
natural
rule it
gas line. You know, there's a whole host of ideas, and that's what they're going to try to sort through, and perhaps sun up will reveal a lot more. I think at that point, you're getting up in a helicopter, and you quickly look over the grounds in that area, and you figure it out pretty quick.
It's definitely a mystery.
We go right to the epicenter. This is part of covering all of New England. NECN on scene at the center of where this quake took place in Hollis, Maine. Let's take it out to Josh Brogadier. Josh, tell us what's going on out there.
Well, Matt, a lot of excitement here in Hollis, if nothing else, that's for sure. We were in Somersworth, New Hampshire on the seacoast when this actually hit. In the middle of an interview in a parking lot, we definitely felt this rumble, thought it might be a big truck. Come to find out, it was rather a small earthquake.
Never heard an earthquake with an explosive sound like that, so it had to have been pretty close.
Sure was. The epicenter was right under Debbie Teft's feet, a 4.0 in Hollis, Maine, 04042. She was in an oil painting class at the community center.
It was a very loud boom, and the whole building shook, so we actually thought something happened to the furnace.
Across town at the Big Apple food store, packs of cigarettes fell off the shelves. Some candy bars hit the ground, too.
I thought maybe a plane crash or something like that, but the jets fly over here all the time.
It was like, it was a long, like, drawn out rumble on the whole place, like, kind of shook.
Heard a loud boom, and it started shaking for maybe like 10, 15 seconds, really bad.
The fire department said there are no reports of damage here or in surrounding towns, but a lot of excitement for these two guys in this town 20 miles west of Portland.
I got in the truck and I felt like my father had put it in reverse and stepped on the brake like 5 or 6 times, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "That wasn't me, the truck's still in park."
A couple of things came off my wall, but that was it. And like I felt the rumble go right through me, like right through my basement. It was intense. It was the most intense feeling I've ever felt.
So intense, Matt, that's how people are describing it. The actual epicenter a couple of miles away from here. We're hearing at Lake Arrowhead right by Waterboro, Maine. But some dishes broken we're hearing, but not a whole lot other than that around this area. Matt?
Josh, Debbie's final strokes on her oil masterpiece may have a little limited edition brush across there from when the earthquake hit, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. No, they were at that community center, and they were still inside there, so clearly they were able to continue painting despite the earthquake.
All right, Josh Brogadier reporting on what pretty much everyone in New England has to say. Any damage done was minor. This was just an event that folks will remember for a long time. I'll have more details on the forecast. We'll keep you posted on the earthquake.
Right now, scientists are working to figure out what that big ball of fire was that soared over Northern California tonight, causing a loud boom. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn Johnson.
And I'm Dan Ashley. It was seen from Monterey to Mendocino and east to Sacramento. ABC 7 News reporter Alan Wong is live at the Chabot Space and Science Center in Oakland tonight with a story. Alan.
Yeah, and there were several astronomers here tonight hosting an event, but they were so busy speaking to the guests that they missed the excitement. There were, however, plenty of people who saw it and some who took pictures. These are some photos taken by a very alert guy named Bob Marino. He says he was in Santa Rosa watching a girls' varsity soccer game at Cardinal Newman High School when he saw this thing streak across the sky at a low altitude, followed by a loud boom. We spoke to several people who saw it in Oakland's Jack London Square around 7:45 tonight. We'll hear from them, followed by an astronomer here at the Chabot Space and Science Center who tells us what it really was.
I looked over, saw like a crescent-shaped object, like reddish orange in color. But as it went away, it started kind of getting larger, kind of expanding.
I can't really describe exactly what I seen, but it was something abnormal.
How long did it last?
I just seen 2 seconds.
I'm not sure if it was a meteor or not, because a meteor drops right out of the sky. This thing was going sideways across the sky. So to say it was a meteor, I don't believe that.
Basically, you saw a small car-sized piece of rock and metal from the asteroid belt crash through the layers of Earth's atmosphere, ionizing and setting the air on fire in its wake. Little pieces of it, as it broke up, probably crashed in the hills around Martinez, north of here. And you might have even heard a sonic boom as it crashed through the atmosphere at speeds of over the speed of sound.
So it was a meteor that probably crashed into the hills around Martinez. Astronomers say this is not rare. In fact, 15,000 pounds of space material crashes into the Earth every year. It's just not often that it happens over a densely populated area. They say it came into the atmosphere doing about 25,000 miles per hour, but slowed down and hit at about 300 miles per hour. So again, it was a meteor that lit up the sky tonight and even caused a sonic boom. I'm Alan Wong reporting live from the Chabot Space and Science Center in Oakland, ABC 7 News.
All right, Alan, thank you. And as you'd expect, the fireball is trending on Twitter tonight with scores of people saying they witnessed the spectacle. It was a picture-perfect night for a meteor sighting. ABC 7 meteorologist Sandy Patel is here with more for us. Sandy.
Yeah, Carolyn, indeed, it was a picture-perfect night. Actually, as a matter of fact, the American Meteor Society logged dozens of reports just tonight of this meteor sighting. And as we take a look at this picture from Gene, it was sent to YouReport, and you can see that streak of light there. D. Mill 415 tweets, "This is in Rohnert Park, and it had me out of my seat. This thing was no joke." He's referring to the meteor, of course. Tamara posts on Facebook, "It rattled the house in Belmont." And you can see as we check out Live Doppler 7 HD why this was the case. We obviously had clear skies. It is still clear tonight. We are in for another warm to hot afternoon tomorrow, and as a matter of fact, red flag warnings are going. I'll be back to talk more about that and let you know when some big changes will be coming in just a few minutes.
All right, Sandy, thanks. And we want to see your video and photos of tonight's meteor. You can email them to us at youreport@kgo-tv.com or share them with us at facebook.com/ABC7 News or on Twitter at ABC7 News Bay Area. We've posted a slideshow for you as well on ABC7News.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Ginger Jeffrey. Topping Eyewitness News today. Did you feel the earth move early this morning? An earthquake centered in Niagara County woke up some residents shortly after 12:30 a.m. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake centered near Olcott. Channel 7's Kyla Igo joins me now with the details.
Well, Ginger, if you heard a loud noise overnight or even a rattling of your windows, you weren't dreaming. Officials with the United States Geological Survey confirmed that there was indeed an earthquake in northern Niagara County. The USGS reports a 2.5 magnitude earthquake rattled parts of Niagara County around 12:30 this morning, as you mentioned. They believe it originated 5 miles northeast of Olcott with a depth of about 3 miles. Now, this quake left the Niagara County Sheriff's Office flooded with calls overnight, with many residents reporting hearing some type of explosion or even a loud boom, including residents in the town of Newvane.
I was sleeping, and about 2 o'clock in the morning I heard a loud bang, and I looked out through the house and the shop, and there was nothing. I had no idea what it was.
All the windows in my house were shaking, and my granddaughter calls me on the phone, and she was a nervous wreck because she lives in Olcott, New York, and the same thing happened to her.
Around 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard this big bang.
Respond to the area, the hospital, Corwin Avenue area.
This call had reported a large explosion in the area. First they thought someone struck the building, unsure they're checking. 3, caller is a worker at the hospital. She's now at 8 Corwin, her residence. 3, the caller stated her house shook. She felt it and heard it. Then she called the hospital, and they also stated they felt and heard the same thing. 10-4 to check in the area. 3, 1, and 6 receiving numerous calls reporting the same. 6 started heading towards Barker also. We're getting calls from Newfane, Barker, Alcott, Somerset reporting the same.
Just a shot in the dark here, but maybe we want to contact the railroad, see if they had a train going through. Something might have happened to it.
Received. All the callers reporting their houses shook, rattled the windows, loud explosion. 3, they're still coming in from the Newfane area.
10-4, I'm still in the village checking.
82, that's 10-4. It occurred about 3 years ago.
Okay. 80954, are they reporting any power loss?
Negative on any power loss with any of the callers. Just the loud explosion, house shook, rattled the windows. 80, we're getting calls from southern area Newfane all the way to Alcott, west to Coomer Road, and over to Barker.
10-4.
NASA in Huntsville, we talked to researchers there at the Marshall Space Flight Center, and some updated information. We had first thought this was part of the torrid meteor shower that typically goes on this time of the year, right around Halloween. Well, researchers at NASA say it was not a torrid meteor. It was a meteor, probably from a nearby asteroid belt. And here's kind of the interesting thing. Radar shows a number of impacts across the state of Alabama. So these are not only meteors, but because they did land on Earth, they are meteorites. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see some kind of weird things in your backyard across parts of northern Alabama. It looks like this was kind of skewed north of Interstate 20. Bill Cook, who's a PhD with NASA, talked to him this evening about the meteor, and he has a lot more information to share with you.
Well, what people saw was what we call a fireball or a bolide, which is a very bright meteor. A fireball is something brighter than the planet Venus, and this was very bright. And it penetrated very low in the atmosphere. A lot of people reported their house shaking or sonic booms. That generally occurs only if the meteor gets below 30 miles in altitude. So normally a meteor will burn up about 60 miles above your head. This one got below 30 miles, which is unusual.
So this is similar to, you know, when the space shuttle would re-enter the atmosphere, you'd hear the sonic boom, same kind of thing going on.
This thing hit the atmosphere probably on the order of, you know, twice as fast as the shuttle was moving, so somewhere around 33,000 miles per hour. So it was booking.
Physically, about what would be the size of a meteor like this that we would see this visibly?
Well, in order to be seen in the daytime or in the twilight like this one, it probably was about the size of a boulder, you know, a decent-sized boulder, you know, maybe a couple of feet or a yard across.
NASA is still trying to figure out the precise location of where that meteorite struck, but very interesting. It is something that you do not see every day. In the meantime, there's still the torrid meteor shower that's happening right now, and the best advice from Dr. Cook over the next several days: at night, we're going to have some clear nights too. Kind of get on a sleeping bag and look up at the sky, and you'll see plenty of action. These things typically fire up around Halloween every year. Back in a few minutes, and we'll check out the weather here on Earth and not the space weather. We'll see in just
At least 2 people have been killed, New information, we have 7 people that were taken to the hospital last night. The cause remains under investigation.
Yeah, actually, Citizens Energy Group has been leading that investigation to figure out whether a gas leak possibly triggered that blast that was felt and seen so many miles away. At this point, they have not detected any gas leaks, but they still need to search those 2 homes which were most prominently damaged.
Good morning once again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Donaldson.
And I'm Jenny Ann Chondo. Let's take you to the location of where this happened late last night. You can see on the map here on Field Fairway, which is on the south side, just north of the Greenwood Municipal Airport near I-65. And this map kind of shows you how many people felt this blast. We have had hundreds of reports from people very far away saying that they felt the explosion. People in Shelbyville, people at 18th and Shadeland, people at Keystone and Hannah, literally all over our community.
And take a look at this video. That'll explain why so many people heard and saw this explosion. This is video that was taken just minutes after the scene. Again, this is last night from the Richmond Hills subdivision, just after 11 o'clock last night. This is video that was taken by the Marion County Sheriff's Department. You can see the flames that were just going high into the air, the smoke that was billowing into the air. Again, hundreds of people were evacuated for fear of more explosions, for fear of a gas leak. But again, that investigation is ongoing right now, but no cause has been identified. We know that 2 homes were destroyed and more than 24 others were damaged by that explosion.
You know, let's talk about the pictures that were sent in from viewers on our Facebook page. We're showing you some of the most remarkable ones. This one sent in by street team member Rusty Nolan. She was 4 streets away. She says it felt like an earthquake. She could smell the smoke from where she was standing outside. A lot of folks saying there was an earthquake, there was a plane crash, there was something like that. We know that it was not a plane crash, of course, at this point in time, but we do not know what might have caused all of this.
We want to show you one more picture that really illustrates the devastation from last night. This is a picture that was taken by Indianapolis Star photographer Matt Krager, but you can see the rubble everywhere. Again, people were reporting insulation that was falling from the sky. There was debris that damaged all sorts of homes in that subdivision, and again, hundreds of people had to be taken out into the night in their pajamas, awakened from their couches. Again, this was just after 11 o'clock last night, so you can only imagine what those people went through.
We're going to begin with the deadly and mysterious explosion that shattered a quiet Indianapolis neighborhood. This is all that is left after the blast just annihilated 5 homes, leaving dozens of others beyond repair. ABC's John Schriffen is there right now with the latest on the investigation. Good morning to you, John.
Josh, good morning. There is a large police presence as investigators try to figure out just how this happened. Right now, nothing has been ruled out, but investigators are puzzled because so far there has been no sign of a gas leak in the neighborhood. This video shows the massive inferno sparked by the explosion that rocked this Indianapolis neighborhood late Saturday, reportedly killing husband and wife Dion and Jennifer Longworth and leaving at least 7 others injured.
Garage doors blown in, windows blown in, house completely leveled, nothing left.
This morning, investigators are frantically trying to figure out what touched off the blast, which could be heard for miles.
We can't speculate on what the cause of the incident was, whether it was natural gas or whether it was some other source.
Witnesses say it happened around 11 p.m. More than 100 firefighters responded to the scene as nearly 200 residents quickly ran into nearby streets.
It splintered my door. It looks like a war zone.
Ceiling falling in, garage door falling down, and just glass everywhere.
Officials say as many as 80 homes have been affected, estimating the damage at $3.6 million. Drew Smith from ABC affiliate WRTV saw the damage firsthand.
You can see that there are bulldozers out here. People are working, trying to get everything cleaned up. What used to be 5 homes are nothing more than rubble. And you can see the cleanup here is going to take quite some time.
And police have still not identified the victims, but this morning the Indianapolis Star is reporting that the Greenwood schools will open on a 2-hour delay so that staff can figure out a way to tell the students that one of their teachers has died. Josh?
John Schriffen in Indianapolis, thank you for that.